We've got our local ambassador, Abbey, with us today. Our plan is to pick out some of our key products that we think you could take away and use in your salon or as a freelance hairdresser on your freelance duties. You can tap into some of these products and they'll be of benefit to you immediately. Hi Abbey.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me. So as you can see, we are going mad crazy colours this time. What I've basically done for Ruby's hair is I'm using the brand new Crea Bold colours by Indola. I'm so excited that they've released this because I've been looking for a high pigmented direct dye for so long, and they are beautiful colours. So with Ruby's hair, I'm just going to talk briefly through it now and then we can talk in more depth as we go along. Ruby turned up today with pre-lightened hair already and a very faded, washed out sort of mixture of pinks and reds all in her hair. So we've started in a pre-lightened hair. I've left her root because I actually think that having a root just gives it a bit of an edge. I think when you're using really bright, vibrant colours and you go in straight on the root, it can sometimes look a bit too overdone, too hairdressy, and I think it just gives it a little bit more of a grungy look when you've left that root. So that's the reason why that is there. Placement wise, I've gone in with the Crea Bolds. The majority of it is the bright red. These are great products because you can dilute any of them. So I've used it, in some parts I've used it directly as it is. You don't need peroxide, you don't need anything. You just go straight in with your colour and the bowl. I've also used the pastel lavender to dilute some of it and conditioner. So I've got 3 different tones of reds going on in the hair. First, obviously the bright red on its own, bright red with lavender and bright red with conditioner. And what that does is it just gives you a couple of muted tones within the hair. And as you can see, as I pull her hair around, there are some areas that I've actually left out. Didn't colour at all, just left it blonde, or the faded colour that it was before. And then I've allowed it, as I've washed it, to just allow that coloured water just to run over it so it's got a bit of a glossing. And again, that just works with the sort of more grungy look. So I don't want it to be too, like I said before, I don't want it to be too overdone. Beautiful blue. This is called the indigo blue. I love this colour, it's so vibrant. Like blues can be quite hard to use sometimes because they can come across quite wishy-washy. Normally need to lighten a lot to get a strong blue, but this is such a high pigment that it really grabs onto the hair. And as you can see, I've done a little triangle placement in the back here. There's a few more on this side, through here. And then what I've done in the fringe as well is I've just done a little triangular section just to give it a little bit of something through this fringe. So I'm going to pass you back to Shane in a minute. What I'm going to start working on straight away is a little hair up. I'm going to go in with a few braids because I love to braid, but I want to keep that grungy feel. I don't want it to be, like I said before, too overdone. We're all going for a very undone feel today. So I'm going to start with the top and you'll see it as I create different shapes and styles within the hair.
Cheers, thanks Abbey. I think that colour looks absolutely amazing. This is Indola's colour shade guide. This is Indola PCC, permanent curling colour, and this is it's the classic range of colours that you'd expect from a manufacturer, but we've introduced into the range these Crea Bold shades which are here. There's 8 of them and Abbey's has used at least 3 of them there. You can use them straight from the tube. It's a 100ml tube. They come in boxes like this. There's 8 shades, as I said. They can be diluted. We recommend that you use some form of mask type conditioner to dilute them in. This helps to kind of act as some kind of base so that you can apply the product through and it adheres to the hair a little bit better. So if you are going to dilute them, then these colour mask type products are ideal for them to work into. So, but primarily they're used on their own. They have a 20 to 30 minute development time. They are super intense, so those are them in the actual shade guide. We also produce a colour ring so you can talk to your clients about these shades and you can actually put them into the client's own hair and you can show them the intensity. You know, these are semi-permanent colours, but we are not going down the route of talking about these products as a colour refreshing take-home retail type of product. They are ridiculously intense. As you can see from Abbey's model, you can see the intensity, and also it's the longevity of them. They're lasting up to 10, 12, 15 shampoos. And the problem that we have with these, this terrific staining action that they will have a terrific staining action against your skin. So when you're working with them, it's imperative that you wear gloves, They're an in-salon treatment, a service rather, so, you know, let's not let the client take these home and start using them, otherwise we're going to get some terrific staining techniques on skin, etc. So they're an in-salon or professional service. Masses of intensity and some really great colours there, particularly that blue. When I've seen the blue being used by Abbey and some of the other guys in our studio, that blue really is so intense. It's a real kind of well, what's the word? It's not wishy-washy. I think that's the best way of describing it. It's a real intense blue. So that's and it's called Crea Bold. So I'll just pass you back over to Abbey. She's started doing a little bit of braiding.
So the whole idea here is I'm just creating a mixture of mini braids, big braids, I'm crossing them over each other, I'm changing direction randomly. So you can see I'm just pulling them all over, creating different knots and styles within the hair. And what I want to create is just almost like it's really flat on the top, and then it comes into a beautiful texture towards the ends to really show off all of this colour. As I'm going to braid it, you'll see all of these different shades and different colours coming through. So the whole idea here, I'm doing micro braids to start with, just your standard 3-strand Dutch braid where it sits on the top, and I just prefer these braids because it means you can get really tight in at the root. So as you can see here, I'll just pull you down a bit. What I'm going to do is where I've started to braid already on this side, I'm just going to grab that section and pull it into this one, and that just helps me create a bit more of a knotted feel. Just want it to look a bit different to your standard braids. And I'm just going to pull that in nice and tight. Right, I'll pass you back to Shane as I get these little ones in, and I think he's going to be talking you through the Blonde Expert bleach, which is my absolute favourite go-to bleach.
So when the majority of these, you know, the intensity comes from these shades by pre-lightened hair, and as you can see, Abbey's model has got a lot of pre-lightened pieces, so they worked really well on those and they picked up. You can use them over natural hair, and there's a definite degree of intensity, but when you're starting to get these crazy colour type, this crazy colour type of colour, then we need to pre-lighten. We'd recommend that you use this particular bleach. This is the Blonde Expert 9 levels of lift bleach. It's a dust-free bleach, but it's a premium quality bleach. We generally only need to work with 6% with this product to get up to 9 shades of lift. Don't get when we're talking about, I've seen these when I've gone around different wholesalers and 1 or 2 other things. I've seen these products and we talk about them being 9, 10 shades lift, whatever. Remember that the lift, it's not going to lighten any more than any other product, but when we talk about the amount of lift we get, it's basically on what kind of depths we can use them on. So if we've got a 9 levels of lift bleach, we know we can start to work on our darker depths. This is where these products benefit over some of the other products that don't lift 9 levels. They can be used on darker bases. It's not about they're going to lift any lighter than other products. We want them to still lift light, but also we want them to maintain condition. And this is what we have with our bonding technology, which is actually in our bleach. So if you've not tried this, it's a wonderful product, and I don't want it to be too much of an Indola bashing session product-wise for you today, but if you are looking for something that's going to pre-lighten, maintain condition, and you can tone for general highlights, or you want to do something like Abbey's doing here, then putting Crea Bold over the top, this is a fantastic product.
Okay, so as you can see, as I'm working my way round, what I've done is I'm just using these little clips just to hold in the braid while I start another one, because the whole idea here is I want them all to merge into one braid. So if I'm just going to tilt your head, you can see where I'm starting to pull in bits from this braid, pull in a bit from over there, just to create some different textures and shapes going on in the hair. So I'm just going to have a look now where I want to go. I'm probably going to do a couple of little micro braids in this fringe as well, because what I don't want to happen is to create a beautiful detailed area here and then just have a thick fringe just sitting here at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work in some tiny little braids that I'm just going to not tie off at the ends or anything, we'll just let it go loose, but it will just add some texture into that front area. So let's have a look where we want them to go. So it's a very sort of freehand technique, this. I'm just going to play around. I'm literally almost making it up as I go along because I just want this to be really free and not look too overdone. So here I'm not going to add them onto the scalp, I'm just going to do them loosely just to sit on the top. It's going to be barely there. I mean, you might not even be able to pick up how small they are on here on the camera, because I'm just purely doing this part just to add texture, and it's a great way just to add a little bit of something else into the hair. And I'll probably go maybe halfway down this bit, and then I'll just let it fall out, maybe put a little bit of hairspray on it and let it fall. So product wise, what I have done for Ruby's hair, I use the Indola strong mousse quite a lot, but what I'll do, I don't know if any of you have used it before, it is quite a strong mousse in the sense that you either don't want to use too much, or what you can do is use a little bit of the glamorous oil in the mousse at the same time, and what that does is it just loosens it up a bit and allows you to place more product on the hair without it becoming too sticky, and so it's still workable. So I've gone in with a strong mousse, a little bit of glamorous oil, and then for finish I always flexible hairspray. This is my go-to hairspray. It's such a good one because you can keep brushing it, keep working it. You never get those white little bits that some hairsprays leave on the hair, funny little residues. You never get that, and it's just a great all-rounder. So you can see now I'm starting to get these micro ones in just to create a little bit of something else in the fringe. Now, in a second I'll pass you back to Shane as I'd work in a couple more of these little ones in the front.
Cool, thanks Abby. So like I said, I just wanted to pick out some of the hero products, if you will, in the Indola range for you to have a think about running down to Aston & Fincher and purchasing these products. But we've got these two products. We've always had this product which is called NN2, which is a colour additive, and what this does is you can work it in any permanent hair colour or any bleach, and what actually happens is it's like a very fine oil. When you mix it with the colour, the permanent colour, what it does is once you've stopped applying the product, what happens is that the colour product sits up in the colour just very slightly off the scalp, and it helps to stop any sensitivity and also any staining that can happen with some of the darker shades in a permanent colour. So it's NN2. You just use a full pump for a full tube, so 60 mils to 1 pump of this product, and it's NN2. So that's you can use it, you can bob it on a piece of cotton wool and just rub it around the hairline very lightly as well, and that helps to protect the hair from any staining, which is probably a good idea if you're using the Crea Bold range. You could use it like that. So that's NN2. And then what we've just launched is a sister product to the NN2, which is called CC2, and this is a porosity equaliser. So it's a conditioning spray, but it equalises the porosity. So we can apply it prior to any colour, and that's what we did with Abby's model. She just gave 3 or 4 squirts through, combed it through, and it just creates a nice level base for your colour applications. But you can use it as a spray leave-in conditioner. It works really well for that type of thing as well. So that's NN2 and CC2. Have you used the CC2 yet much in the salon, Abby?
Do you know what? I love this product. It's really nice. I've used it, obviously, like you said, I've used it today on Ruby just to even out the porosity in the hair, so I know that the Crea Bold is going to sit beautifully on top. But yeah, I use it in the salon. You can use it just before, if you've done a set of highlights, for instance, or a balayage, just something classic, spray it on before you put your toner on, and it just gives you a beautiful base. Sometimes you can, I don't know if anyone's had this situation where you've got someone with over porous hair and you get almost some parts grab more than others, so you've got really grey areas or almost go a bit bluey if you're doing something ashy. You know, some parts of it will tone beautifully and other parts have gone a bit dry and a bit, wishy-washy. Putting something like the CC2 spray on will eliminate that problem. So I'm just, as you can see on the beautiful close-up, I've started to go one way with this braid and then I've suddenly switched and I've gone the other way again just to create more textures in the top. I'm just going to bring this down and let it fall into the fringe, show off these colours that are coming through here. Okay. grab a few more sections, and then what I'll do is I'll turn around and I'll start working on the back, where I'm going to go in with a few bigger braids, connecting them all together, and then I'll finish it all with some hairspray and get her to do a nice spin round, and you can see all the different colours. Okay. I'm just going to stop and have a little look where I want these to go. I'll probably do a couple more micro braids in this top bit. So yeah, I mean, if you're into braiding, you could mix it up and start doing a couple of other ones, maybe a 4-stranded braid. They always look really good and a good way to add more texture into the hair. But for me, I think I'm just going to stick with 3-strand and then use it as a knotting tool. I think once you start going in with 4 strands and you're trying to mix them all together, it can get a bit fiddly. So unless you've got all the time in the world, I wouldn't suggest it. Right, so as I get round here, what I'm going to do is, as you can see my braid from the last, just tilt your head up a bit. From here, I'm going to take some of the hair from that part of the braid, take it out to clip and add it into this bit. So, just going to take that clip out. So you want to, when you're doing this, you want to be getting the bit that comes from the other side. So this bit here that's coming under, if I went for that, this is all going to fall out. So you need to have that strand to add in over here. And then I'm just going to continue that. I can add that in here. And you see how it just comes and brings it all together. Add a little bit more in. Put it nice and tight, and it becomes almost like a knot on the side. Just adds a really nice textured element rather than your standard braids. And then I'll probably get this bit over here to cross over. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my clip back in and reassess where I want the rest to go. If I can get it out of my pocket. Get this in. So what's nice and what you'll be able to start seeing as well is, as I'm working through this, some of the tones actually look quite pinky, which is nice. That's where I've diluted the red with the lavender. It just adds a slightly pinker edge to it. It makes it look a little bit more faded. So again, I didn't want it to come into a really bright red. I think sometimes that can be a bit, especially with a bright blue as well, it can be a little bit too much. So just by muting the colours just a little bit just allows you to play around with more texture. I'm going to come in with a little braid here now just to add a little bit more depth on the fringe on that side, and then I'll start working on the back.
Just one thing I wanted to just mention was, as you can see on the back of our shade chart here, we've moved part of our sustainability program. We're moving over to paper free. So everything is on a QR code basis now. So all the QR codes can be found here. If you are watching on the laptop, you can use your phone, and you could literally just scan this now and go straight to that. So if you haven't got your QR scanners turned on your phone, it's a good idea to find out where that function is and get those turned on, because we're not the only people who are going to move it into that. I noticed in supermarkets and one or two other places, QR codes have started to appear. What we've done is, obviously on the back of the shade guide, there's now no need for us to add in instructions for use. So that's on there. And also, when it comes down to things like the Crea Bold and any other of the shades, what we can do is we can start to put these QR codes on the boxes, so you can scan the box, and all the information that you would need to know about this particular product can be found via that, and that will happen to all the products over a period of time. But the majority of our new product, all of our new products, will have the QR code. So you can see from the CC2 and the NN2, those have got now got QR codes on. So look out for those QR codes. Where you're also going to see those is in Aston and Fincher. So when you walk down the aisle of a wholesaler, As I'm sure you know that Indola is exclusive to wholesale, so we don't have any direct sales reps out on the road with this particular product. It's exclusive to wholesale. And what it enables us to do is it enables us to put on the shelf edger or the shelf strip the QR code, so that as you're walking past the product, you can actually find out a bit more information about that product prior to you purchasing it. So it actually brings it all to life, because we can actually play videos and all, you know, and other things down the QR code method. So that's the QR code. My final point really is on Instagram, and that is that if you want to follow us directly on Instagram, our local handle is Indola UK, so you know, at Indola UK. And what that will do is it will give you a plethora of information. Yes, by following us, you'll find out about all the latest products that we do. You'll find out all about all the latest products, the latest street style collection, which Abbey is a big part of. You'll find out all that information, but there's also in the bio there's some link tree so that you can actually go to like online shade charts. You can find out about training, and that's all from the Indola UK Instagram page. So if you're not following us, that would be great if you did.
I'm just starting to work in my braid down the back here. I'm going to start getting a little bit bigger with the design, and then I'm going to work it in down here. What's happening now is I'm showing off this beautiful little undercut that we've got going on. So with here, I did go in, there was no pre-lightened bit on this undercut here, it was all just her natural. So what I've gone in with is a little bit of the red on a comb, and I've just combed it on roughly, just to give it that little bit of a hue, and you can see how well pigmented they are because it just grabs just on those tips. So it's a great tool to use if you want to get a little bit of a hue onto a natural base as well as a pre-lightened base.
Colours are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's really starting to be shown off now.
So Abbey, I know because I was really interested, and I know by following you on Instagram, you've kind of made a switch from the salon to a home salon.
Yeah, so I was employed in a salon for years. I actually used to work up in London, and then when I moved to the area I'm in now, in Woking, I joined a local salon. But I was only there for maybe a year, and then the whole COVID situation happened. So unfortunately, the salon I was working in had to close down. But it worked out well for me because I'd always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to go freelance at some point, and actually that threw me in the deep end and sort of made me have to actually go and do it. And I would never look back now. So what we did is I built a salon in my garden and I worked freelance from there. And this is why I absolutely love Indola, because it's such a compact range in terms of you've got all your PCC range, your permanent colours, and any of those colours you can then transform into a semi-permanent using a colour transformer, which is like a developer. So you don't need to stock separate things like you do with other brands, like your permanent shades and your semi-shades. You have one range and you can intermix any of them, which is great for me. But yeah, so I'm now working freelance out of this salon, which is nice.
I think there's been a big shift to the home salon, I suppose, maybe over the last, pre-COVID and then during COVID. I noticed, a lot of friends I've known who are working in salons have gone down, have moved over to the freelance method of working. And this home salon idea, I think works extremely well.
I cannot recommend it enough. It's such a lovely way to work, working on your own, got your own space. I give myself more time per client. I think when you're employed in a salon, it's such a strict, you almost become like a robot. You've got a set of highlights, then you've got 45 minutes to do something else, and then you're back to your other highlights, wash it off, and it just becomes very hectic. And I think sometimes you can lose your passion and lose your creativity when you've got such a rigid time scale. So it's nice to be freelance and just, work the way I want to work, and make sure that my clients are always happy. I see one-on-one, so it was great after COVID. People weren't in a crammed space altogether, and I've just kept it going from that because it's just been such a lovely way to work.
I did touch on earlier on the street style collection. What we do at Indola, we have a seasonal launch of looks that we launch 4 times in a year, so spring, summer, autumn, winter, and they're put together by our global ambassador Abbey Smith, with the help of Abbey and a couple of the other international guys, the international team called the Indola Selected. And where's that taking you, Abby?
Well, the Indola Select has been such a nice journey to go on. I mean, they have a selection of stylists and colourists. So on the last shoot, we had me from the UK. There was a lovely girl from Spain. I'm not sure where the Mila is it Macedonia?
Yeah.
Yeah. We grouped together and we come up with some sort of colouring technique. So on the last shoot we did a beautiful blonde story. So it's taking someone from a blonde hair into a beautiful brunette / blonde look. So I did a lovely shine line technique. And it was just a great opportunity to get in the studio and shoot something that we really wanted to do, work together. You know, we go to Hamburg, that's where they're based. And it's just a really nice way to be able to get a bit creative using the colours on a model, you know, and get some really good content for your Instagrams. So yeah.
Cool. Just one thing I know I've just picked up on your model, because I didn't know that she had the undercut section.
Oh, yeah.
How would you go about talking to somebody about that? How do you approach that? Because obviously, you know, it's a step that in a direction where that makes the whole look, doesn't it? You know,
Yeah.
you suddenly what you're doing there, you're revealing it. But how do you not talk a client into it, but how do you, how do you talk her into it, I suppose?
Well, do you know what? Normally it's the case if someone's got really thick hair, it's such a great way to remove weight. So to be honest, I wouldn't necessarily do it on someone with really fine hair, because obviously if you're going to take a big chunk of their hair out here, depending on what their hair is like, you know, I mean on mine for instance, if I took a big chunk out the side of mine, it would look very scraggly and very thin on the ends, whereas Ruby's got an incredible amount of hair and it really works for her. I mean, you've got to have quite a brave client to go for the undercuts, and you know, it's got to fit with their vibe, fit with their style, so you wouldn't give it to anyone and everyone. The main thing is to focus on is if someone's got really thick hair, to then suggest it. Because also you can hide it as well. I mean, like you said, like you couldn't see it when she had her hair down, and her hair still looked really lovely and luscious and thick. So saying that, you know, saying it's got to be someone brave, at the same time, it doesn't have to be, because it could just be hidden the whole time.
And how do you do that? Do you section it off scissors and comb, or is it, you know, section it off clippers, or?
Yeah, I would personally section off, and then I would clipper off the main area, and then I'd probably go in with a scissor over comb just to tighten up the edges. I was debating whether or not doing it today just to freshen up, because her undercut was already here, but actually, because like I said at the start, I want this to look quite undone, I haven't gone in and tightened it up because I want it to look a bit outgrown and a bit messier, so it's got that texture in it. But yeah, if I was going to cut it fresh, I would section it all out, clipper off the main bulk of it, and then go in with a nice scissor over comb to finish. So I'm just working through the back now, so soon, once I've got all of them in place, I'm going to release them, just finish with hairspray and just create some nice waves and texture through here. But you can see the whole idea. This side I've done the same as I said the other side. I just took that. You can see the hue of the blue on here. That's literally just combed onto her natural colour, so you can see how high pigmented the shades are. Right, so I'll just start a new one round here, I think. This is the fun part, because you know, I mean, when you're doing stuff like this, it doesn't have to be perfectly neat sections. You can see I'm not getting sectioned with a comb or anything. I'm just going straight in. I'm grabbing the bits. It's very, very freehand. You know, just allows you to be a bit more creative with your braiding. It doesn't have to be all rigid and perfect all the time. I think that's because I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm very. You know, as I was coming up in hairdressing, I was always such a perfectionist. I always wanted everything to be neat, or my section to be perfect. It used to take me hours to do a full head of highlights, because I always wanted it to be perfect. But actually, in the last sort of year or so, I'm learning to break those rules. And, you know, the results, once you know, obviously you need to know the foundations, you need to be, you know, you need to be good at the start with your basic hairdressing skills. But once you can break the rules, you're left with a lot more opportunity to create more undone looks.
I'll just recap very quickly over the products that we've used today, just why Abby's moving into the last stages of her dressing, and then I'll leave you to her to finish off. So we've used the intensive colours are the Crea Bold from the new Indola PCC range. There are 8 shades of those semi-permanent colours, masses of intensity, pleased in salon service, not for clients to take away from home. We must wear gloves, brushes and bowls and be as clean as possibly can with applications because they've got a terrific staining action. So that's the Crea Bold. If you're going to do any pre-lightening, then there's the Blonde Expert Bleach, 9 levels of lift, contains bonding technology and perfect for those darker bases where you really want to pre-lighten like Abby's done on her model today. And then finally our 2 other hero products, the NN2, which is the colour additive that can be used with any permanent colour. Again, the product just sits up in the colour, takes it off the scalp, stops any irritable or sensitivity, irritableness or sensitivity, and helps to stop with any staining. And then the CC2, which is a porosity equaliser, which can be sprayed over the hair prior to perm, colour, any colour service. And it's also a leave-in spray conditioner.
The last little step is I've just sprayed it all with hairspray, and now I've just pulled out my little grips. And as you can see, the braids are staying there nicely. And you can really see all the different tones running through this now. And I'm just going to give it a last little spray. It's nice with hairspray as well. If the closer you get, you almost get like a bit of a wet look. So if you can get in there nice and tight, just spin you around. And it's just going to tighten that on a little bit more. And then we are finished.
Abby, that looks great. Really cool. Completely different from when this model came in this morning.
Yeah. Finish off.
Cool, just like you recap there.
Yeah, so you can really see all the different tones running through this now. And I really want, it's nice to go from really tight braids into all of these different colours through here. So you can really see, where I've left bits out and they've got a little bit more of a hue rather than a strong colour. And I'm just going to look at it from the front quick. So it's nice with the little micro braids and the fringe just to give it a little bit more texture.
Cool, that's great. Well, thanks very much, Abby. Thanks for your time today. And thank you for your model for sitting patiently.
Yeah.
She looks wonderful. Thanks very much. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.